Can you guys? Can you hear the noise outside or no?
No
Okay,
noise
great.
outside.
Hi, everybody.
Noise
Hi,
inside.
everybody. Can you hear the noise out back? This is Harris Fellman. Welcome to the Tellman and. We'll just edit that out.
Yeah, just edit it out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome
No,
to the
don't.
Tellman and Fellman Show, episode 40. It's the big 4-0. The amazing. The episode has turned 40 on the same day that I turned an older number. All right. So, anyway, my name's Harris Fellman, and of course, we have here my good friend and business partner over there.
I'm Tellman Knudsen. Welcome to the 40th episode of the Tellman and Fellman Show. We have special guest Croix Sather. Sather.
He told us he coached us on this.
So, and it's very appropriate that Croix is here, which you'll be finding about here in a few minutes. Croix doesn't even quite know why. I don't think Croix has any idea why it's appropriate.
No idea.
I might know.
Happy birthday, Harris! It's your birthday today.
It's my birthday.
And you're how
and
old?
Here I am.
How old?
Woo!
That's right.
Woo!
That was easy.
There we go. I don't have any other sound effects on me. I do in the other room. If we'd have talked about this ahead of time, I would have had little fireworks. But anyway, introduce Croix so we can get started.
Yeah. I'm going to read this thing. Croix, with a little help from ChatGPT, banged out a bio for us. So I haven't read it before. So Croix Sather is a world-class mindset expert, ultra-endurance athlete, and motivational speaker who redefines what's possible. Known as the Marathon Man, Croix ran 100 marathons in 100 days across America while giving 100 inspirational speeches, turning impossible into reality. But he did not stop there. Croix went on to break records in ultra cycling and even conquered Death Valley. His passion? Helping people break through their limits, crush their goals, and live an extraordinary life. With high energy storytelling, real world wisdom, Croix inspires audiences to dream big and act bigger. When he's not pushing boundaries, he's coaching others to conquer their own. So awesome intro, but let me give you some more. So Croix and I have an unusual number of things in common. I love telling the story because it's really pretty silly. So we're both extreme long distance runners, but like Croix is an extreme badass. Like at one point, didn't you set the record for the Death Valley 100 unassisted?
No, the Death Valley race unassisted. Yeah, the 146 miles from the lowest point to the highest point in the United States.
What does unassisted mean for the uninitiated?
There's two ways of doing this. One is with your race team, and you have a crew, and they support you, and they give you water, and they're there for you, and all that. I did it without anyone, and I was pushing a cart that had my food, water, and supplies.
Oh,
for 146 miles through.
Oh, so there's a good way to do it and a crazy way to do it. I see.
Well, they're both crazy. One's just a slightly crazier.
Yeah. So we're both like pretty crazy ultra distance guys. Croix's much more of an ultra distance guy than me.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I do barefoot, but it's different.
But you did over 800 miles. I mean, that's
whatever. Yeah.
I mean, a marathon, 100. The Death Valley's only 146. I mean, and you were assisted.
That's right,
Tellman.
Okay.
So I don't know.
But here's the thing. So Croix and I are both hypnotists. We're both half Norwegian. You're half Norwegian, right?
Yes. More or less.
We're both direct response internet marketers who use, build email lists and sell stuff on the internet. Like it's just
which is the only way to get on this show, Croix. You cannot be a non-internet marketer and be on this show.
Well,
he had to include that, or I was going to kick you off.
Okay. He's like, is he an internet marketer? I'm like, yeah, he's an internet marketer, Harris. He's cool.
So we must be brothers from another mother.
That's right. So Croix and I
father, depending on who's Nordic, which side's Nordic.
That's right. Croix lives half the year in Connecticut, and I'm in Vermont, so we have the opportunity to get together a couple times a year. Usually, often he's coming up through New Hampshire on a trip or something. We get together for a meal or to run or whatever. A couple years ago, you swung in at my place in Guilford and stayed for a little bit, so that was cool. So the point being, Croix, I don't really remember exactly when we first. Do you remember how we met?
It was in one of the marketing circles. Was it the marketers cruise or a conference?
I didn't do I don't think it was in person. I feel like someone introduced us or something, but I honestly can't remember when we met.
Everybody brings up that marketer cruise, and Tellman's never been on one, and I also very oddly have never been on one because I'm actually pretty close with a lot of the people that are thought of as being on that all the time. So yeah.
I used to go to that when I knew nothing about internet marketing.
Well, what a great place to start, right? So let's start there. Let's talk a little bit about like your origin story, Croix, because I know you're interesting because it's not just your origin story as an internet marketer, but like as a human being. Like you've been through some intense shit that got you to where you are. And so I don't know how you like to tell your origin story, but I want to hear it. Like, you know, like
which tragedy do you want to hear?
Yeah, well, like, I mean, this is a show about marketing and entrepreneurship, but like, what causes that to happen? Where does the drive come from? Where, you know, so you tell me, where do you want to start?
So it's usually an origin story about internet marketing, but I mean, the other stuff honestly sounds, you know, way more interesting.
Much more interesting, yeah.
but let's see where we all kind of, you know, when did you get started in internet marketing? How did you get there? And then we can go back to maybe like,
real beginning.
Why are you crazy? Yeah.
Well, let me share with you this way. When I was a little boy, I don't know, I was maybe 13 years old. My dad went into business on his own. He had worked for a guy who was a carpenter, and his brother was a carpenter. So basically, my whole family were carpenters when I was a kid. And he was working for a guy, and he did okay. He had a good job, many years working for him, but he went out on his own. And I was about 13 years old at the time. And I remember him telling me over and over and over, my worst year in business on my own was better than my best year working for Gunderson, who was another Norwegian, by the way. And so that just stuck with me. You know, I was a kid. I didn't know anything about them, but that got stuck in my subconscious mind as we were talking about being hypnotized. I was essentially hypnotized to be an entrepreneur all my life by my dad, and he didn't even know it. And so that just kind of became the filter for my whole life. And so I started working on little entrepreneurial things from when I was a tiny little kid, you know, selling things at school and getting side jobs and shoveling walkways in the winter times and things like that. So I was making money before most people do. You know, I was just a boy. When I was 14 years old, I was riding home on my bicycle and I was with my buddies, and the lady comes over a little crest in the hill. And in the middle of the afternoon on a Friday, and she's drunk. She sees my friends on the other side of the road. She crosses the double yellow line. She never sees me. She crashes into my bicycle. My bike goes below her big metal bumper, and I hit the windshield and fly 50 feet up into the air. They sent me to the local hospital. They couldn't handle the trauma because it was so severe. They sent me down to New York City to a trauma unit where I was in a coma for 4 days. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and physical rehab for a year. And it took me years to get over headaches that I would have. That was another filter for my life because my parents always told me, you survived for a reason. What are you going to do with it? And so that's why I've always been trying to get the most out of life that I possibly can and doing all these crazy things, because that's been my filter for my whole life. Be an entrepreneur and get the most that you can out of life. And that eventually led me to internet marketing because I was a carpenter like my dad and my brothers and my uncles and everybody else for a lot of years. But I saw these guys getting older and they're in their 50s, our age now. They were in our 50s, but they were beat up. And I'm like, that's not the future.
Yeah, right.
Their back, their hands. I mean, like they're all just like they're in terrible condition for their age. I was like, I don't want that as my future. And so I started looking into other things and I started more entrepreneurial things. And I just dabbled in a whole bunch of garbage that I look back now. I'm like, you idiot. What did you try that for?
Well, what did you try?
I was selling things at craft shows. I was doing the tag sale.
What thing?
I have made all kinds of things. I tried different stuff. One of the things that I did fairly well was I take old window sashes, so from antique buildings, take the glass out, and you find really weathered, distressed window sashes. Take the glass out, put a mirror in it, and sell them as mirrors. And that was popular for a bunch of years.
Dude, I didn't know you were such a hustler. Like I didn't know you'd done so many different things over the years. I guess I didn't
I've
know
lost
this
count.
part of your story. Yeah.
I've literally lost count. It was so many for a while.
Cool. I mean, I love that.
So what brought you into internet marketing? Was there like Tellman hypnosis, I think, kind of brought him into internet marketing in a way? Like he wanted to expand.
I was trying to figure out how to either sell hypnosis CDs or salsa on the internet. When I was reading Sean Casey's Mining Gold on the internet, and then I was reading Joyner's Confidential Internet Intelligence Manuscript, Volume 1 and 2. So like I was trying to figure out how to market my hypnosis stuff. After
Can you hypnotize me to dance salsa better?
What's that?
Can you hypnotize me to dance salsa better?
It's not dancing, dude. Do you think I'm a dancer? Salsa. No, it's chips and salsa. It was like the best salsa on the face of the earth, dude. You've never tried it. I'm gonna have to.
You don't want to see Tellman dancing the salsa. I don't. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that's not his.
I wasn't doing salsa dance class. That wasn't the thing.
Can you guys hypnotize somebody to dance if they're not like able to? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you can do some amazing things. I mean,
so Croix, what brought you into internet marketing? Do you remember? Business.
I came in through speaking as a professional speaker.
Okay.
I wanted to become a professional keynote speaker that just traveled the world and
like a motivational speaker.
Motivational speaker, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be one of those guys that were on the road for like 200, 300 days a year, just going from event to event. And I was doing that for a while. And luckily, before the pandemic and the world shut down, I started moving into internet marketing because I had met all these marketing guys on the cruise. And I was like, I got to incorporate that into my business as well.
And what year was this?
That would have been when I started speaking semi-professionally, 2007. By the time when I ran across America, that was 2011.
Yeah.
That was when I became pro, and internet marketing happened shortly after that.
Yeah, and during that time, learning how to become a good public speaker was a very common thing that was taught from stage. It's taught and sold, right, from stage at internet marketing conferences. There'd always be at least one guy in there teaching how to speak and sell.
But you were already a successful enough, I presume, speaker, public speaker, to where you wanted to use the internet somehow to bring in more business.
Yeah, I realized that being a professional motivational speaker was only going to get me so far in income, and only make so much as many gigs as you could get. And I was
time for money. Even if it was 5,000 a keynote, you're still trading time for money.
This is the shift, right? This is where the magic happens for a lot of people, right? So who got you into, or who taught you how to be a motivational speaker and a keynote speaker? Who did you study?
I went to an event.
Like what?
I went to an event, and this would have been back in 2005, 6, somewhere around there. And it was up in Boston, and it was a multi-speaker event. And I went because I was still doing construction.
A summit?
A summit, yeah. I think they actually called it an expo. This one was called an expo.
Oh, an expo. I like that. All right.
I forget what it was called, but that one was an expo. And I went there because I was flipping real estate at the time. This was before I was a speaker. So I was flipping real estate like you see on TV, buy an old house, fix it up, sell it. And I was doing really well with that. But then I went to this event to find out more about real estate and how to do this at a bigger level. And that's what brought me in. But there was a multi-speaker event, and they had, 20 or 30 speakers. And I'm watching, a guy on real estate, a guy on stock market, a guy on whatever. And then Tony Robbins but Tony Robbins gets up there. Boom. And I had never even heard of a motivational speaker before this. I didn't even know existed. And he's 20 minutes into his talk, and I'm looking at this guy thinking, this is what I want to do.
Cool. So Tony Robbins became an inspiration for you.
Yeah, big time.
That's awesome. Cool.
And then through that avenue, I went to other speaking events, and then met other internet marketers, and got involved in that, and then went to the cruise and a whole bunch of other things, and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my education and that.
Yeah, so learning how to become a good public speaker, a keynote, and make X amount of $1,000 ideally, hopefully plus travel expenses, is great, right? To dramatically increase your income, but you're very capped because as you mentioned earlier, Harris, totally trading time for dollars. And when you switch to learning how to speak and sell, then
Well, and also having something to sell. So other than just, I don't know. I think I'm thinking something different than you. So Tellman, you're referring to like platform speaking when you say speak and sell.
That is what I'm referring
Right.
to.
I don't know. He said keynote speaker. Usually, the keynotes are usually paid like up front.
Yeah.
And oh, I see. And so, I guess I'll just ask then. So, it's my show too. My name's on the show name. So, are you? So, how did
It's
you
Tellman
like
and
as you
Fellman.
grew? Did you grow into more platform speaking, which is selling from stage, or did you grow by like what I was thinking was okay, you're gonna continue to be a keynote speaker, but you're gonna have other content that you can sell to a greater audience, whether people come see you or not. You'll have other like videos and books and stuff like that.
I trained to become a keynote speaker. This is where you get paid by a corporation. You come and you motivate for an hour, hour and a half, and then you leave. They pay you a whole bunch of money and all your travel expenses, treat you like royalty. It's absolutely fantastic. But then I started seeing other speakers selling from the stage, and I'm like, okay, how do you do that?
Got it.
And so I got turned on by that. I got turned on by Craig Valentine and Darren LaCroix. These were Toastmaster speakers that became professional speakers. Toastmasters is an organization, a group of speaking. And so I saw those guys do, and I was like, that's a great idea. Then I got turned on to the internet marketing. I was like, well, these guys don't know this whole other world. And so I started combining them. But I did make a couple of fatal mistakes. I tried to combine the two, and they just don't. Corporate speaking and speaking from the stage, selling from the stage, totally different. You got to keep them absolutely separate. And I tried to mix them, and
Right.
I feel
I
like
do some corporate. I do some corporate.
selling.
I do some corporate magic shows, and it's also totally different. But they're hiring you to come and motivate their people. You can't. That's it. Like
You
you
can't
can't
sell
sell.
at
Yeah. I
all.
mean, maybe you can give away a book. You know, maybe they would allow you to on your own dime. I mean, they paid for it, but on your own dime, maybe you could give away a book or something as a a lead magnet into your world. But yeah, you definitely can't.
And something
Right.
too to know about the speaking from the stage or speaking for especially keynote speaking, because you're very much capped on how much you can make, is that after you go to Vegas and Orlando over and over and over, it gets kind of boring.
You know, though, dude, one thing that is so important about what this part of the story that I think is important that we don't glaze over is that when you are doing I haven't been a paid keynote speaker. That's not something that I've done, but I have spent a lot of time selling a bunch of different stuff and being rejected over and over and over again. And I've also spent a lot of time presenting either on physical stages or virtual stages, webinars, live streams, whatever, like for years, right? And the experience of knowing that you can get up on stage and you can deliver something of value for an hour that's going to improve everybody's life and walk off stage and like feel good about that. Like one of the best parts about it is it just breaks through the fear of public speaking because you practice it so much. So it doesn't mean you'll never feel nervous, but it you can do it. Right. So like having that certainty, I think, is very valuable.
Tony Robbins tells a story about two professional singers, and they get on stage. One was, if I remember right, was Celine Dion, and she gets on stage, and before she would get on stage, she would be nervous and sweat. Her palms are sweating. She's shaking. Her heartbeat's racing, and she says, I want to just run out of there and I want to leave. But then he's talking to Bruce Springsteen, and he said basically the same thing. My palms are sweating. My heart's pounding. I'm like, my body's just like intense. And he's like, that's when I know I'm ready.
Ready to rock.
And he goes on.
Right.
So this is all goes back to self-hypnosis, is that you need to control your mind in a way that you could either have the fight or flight idea, or you could be more like Bruce Springsteen, is like, now I'm ready. So when I get on stage, I'm ready. I might be a little bit nervous, but it's just like, it's an intense feeling. That's not a scared feeling. It's an intense feeling like, yeah, let's go freaking do this. And it's absolutely awesome. So a lot of times before I got on stage is I would go in the back and I'm doing push-ups. Like I'm like literally getting my body pumped up before I go on there. And then I try to time it so that it's like 2 minutes before they're actually going to call me. So my respiration can calm back down, but my blood is still pumping.
Yeah.
And I go on there and I'm charged. And then you get that from the audience, especially if it's a great audience. And it doesn't have to be a very big audience. It just needs to be a really alive audience. And if they're giving you the feedback and you get an audience that's into what you're saying, then there's this two-way energy that goes back and forth, and it just makes you more alive.
Yeah.
And you come off stage, you literally feel like Superman. It's wild.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what do you so now do you still do a lot of live events? You still do public do you do corporate events still if they'll or are you too bored with that, or do you do internet marketing? You speak at internet marketing events? Like what are you doing?
I've been a hermit since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And
Me.
everything's been online since then. And
Yeah.
we've done my partner and I we did 4 platinum on ClickBank. Had 4 platinum awards on ClickBank, which means each product has sold at least $250,000 to get that award. And we did 4 of them during and then after since the pandemic.
Okay.
And then now I've branched out on my own, and I'm doing on my own. ClickBank, for anybody who's listening that doesn't know, is a platform for
Affiliate.
what's the word? Affiliate. Thank you, for affiliate selling. So that means that, like, I have a product, and at that time I was selling law of attraction, which is a different version of mindset. And so I'm selling a law of attraction product. You guys can mail that for me through your email list, and you could sell it and make 50%, and I make 50%. So that's what ClickBank is. It's a platform to connect people like us.
Right.
Dude,
I go ahead.
I once was the MC for the ClickBank event in Vegas, and I hypnotized 1,500 entrepreneurs for 20 minutes. I did a wealth hypnosis session from stage and hypnotized like over 1,000 people live. It was awesome. It was really cool.
I was just going to mention Tellman and I are, of course, super familiar with ClickBank. Our audience should be, hopefully some of your audience is as well. I do consulting for a company called Warrior Plus, which is a probably smaller than ClickBank, but they also are like an affiliate network as well, very similar. So yeah, super familiar with that business model. Too familiar with that business model, honestly. But it can be a great way to get.
I've moved away from the affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Because it's just, as you guys know, it's you cannibalize your lists. So you build a big email list, and everybody's sending to the same offer to the same people, and it's coming from 10 different people, and you end up cannibalizing the list, and the list dies. And that happened to me. I made that mistake. We had a list of 60.
What you say, the list died because you were promoting other people's offers in return for them promoting yours, or just promoting your own?
We're promoting ours or promoting others. They're promoting theirs to our list, because it just becomes.
Well, it's like everybody's picking the garden. Everybody's picking from the garden, and pretty soon, like the orchard gets all it gets.
There's no fruit left in the orchard. You're right. Yeah.
I've had a solo ad business network, I guess, for over 10 years, and for most of those years until recently, I wasn't promoting, maybe once or twice a year, and I think that was fine. My mistake over those 10 years was that I didn't have a good high ticket back end. So I basically was like, hey, buy some traffic, buy some traffic, buy some traffic. People have shiny object syndrome. They buy mine, they buy someone else's, they come back for mine maybe, but they're not buying, like, they're just, and it's not huge margin when you're reselling somebody else's traffic. So so I'm wondering, do you have like a funnel with like low ticket, high ticket, or what are you doing now if you're not doing affiliate marketing?
More organically and slowly, and I'm not sharing it.
Right.
Generally speaking, the not to say I wouldn't with the right person and the right thing, but like you, I might do it once or twice a year, not do it once or twice a week.
Right.
And sending it out, if not more. And people just eventually, they just get tired and they get burnt out, and they get mad at you eventually. Yeah. So I'm building it now more of an organic way. I'm going to start putting some paid ads behind it. I might buy some solo ads too. I'm not sure yet. We didn't have any success with that, at least not with the people we tried it with.
It's tricky. It's not the best quality traffic. It's just the easiest traffic to get. And so it's really, I mean, I sell it, so I know really well. It's hard to get the right offer. And also, even if you have the right offer and it's converting, I think honestly, I don't know if I should say this, but basically, I think the dirty secret behind solo ads is even the best lists are not, because they're sending so much. So if they're like, hey, I'll send you 500 clicks, you get 500 clicks, but there's if you're like, oh, that did pretty well, and you say, let me do that again, then it ends up being 400 of the same people. Like it's very, because you do it the next week. So I think people's lists aren't as big as it feels like they should be to deliver however many clicks they're delivering. They're just,
There's two guys or three guys that I follow. One guy's name is Dan Coe, one I can think of off the top of my head. And there's a couple others. And these guys are selling between $2 and $5 million a year in gross revenue. It's a one-man show. They might have a VA. That's it.
doing what?
And they're content creators, and then they have products. So they're doing the internet marketing on the back end, but they don't consider themselves internet marketers. They consider themselves content creators. So they're authors, YouTubers, things like that. And then they have the products on the back end. One guy sells 2 products for LinkedIn. Another guy sells one for writing. He teaches people how to be writers. And the other one, I forget. But these guys make between 2 and 5 million gross, and they're netting between 80 and 90%. So out of $1 million, they're netting between 800 and 900.
I don't know about these guys. What's the guy's name?
One guy's name is Dan Coe, Koe.
Okay.
He's the content creator. He teaches you about writing. The guy on LinkedIn, I forget his name. I can send him to you later.
Yeah.
And then there's a third one, and they're running the one-man show basically, and that's my new model that I'm trying to follow.
Do they have like a course they sell, or like a special YouTube channel for it, or like how are you learning about this?
I found about the guy with the LinkedIn through an MSNBC wealth article.
Whoa, interesting.
I got turned on to him by that, which was cool.
Well, shoot me some links later. Sounds interesting.
And then Dan Coe, I stumbled across him on YouTube because I'm listening to other mindset guys. Yeah. And he's kind of a mindset guy, not directly, but cool. And then the other one, I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment.
Cool.
So I'm really curious, but I don't want to go there yet. But I do want you to maybe talk about what you talk about, like what you like. How do you like? I need some help with my mindset, I need
now let's bring on back. It is Harris's birthday, Croix, but tomorrow is day 1 of 75 hard.
Wow, so good for you.
I'm going to do 75 hard with Harris. I've been through it a few times. Harris hasn't done it before, and we got 2 other entrepreneurs, Justin Glover and Wayne Neal, who are kind of like, I guess, friends with me and Harris.
Wayne's actually not a marketer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wayne's a magician, an amateur magician friend of mine. But
cool. Yeah. I thought I knew his name. I guess I don't know him.
Yeah, it's a common enough name.
Yeah. So we're starting tomorrow, and you happen, Croix, to be an expert in resilience, in my experience.
And mental toughness.
And so anyway, that's why it's appropriate that you're here, because Harris and I are booting 75 hard first thing in the morning tomorrow. So,
but I'm not. I don't like the idea of grit. I started reading Arete, and it became too much for me. I mean, I loved it. I loved it conceptually, but man, it was just like, okay, I can't. I'm not this guy. But that's kind of the point of doing 75 hard is that I'm but I'll be honest, Croix. Like yesterday, I was fucked up.
Croix, you're familiar with 75 hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I just assumed you would be, but I didn't.
Yeah, 75 hard is you're exercising twice a day, you're journaling every day. What were the other things? There's
it's exercise twice a day. One of the days has to be outside.
Minimum of 45 minutes each time.
Yeah, 45 minutes each time, and it can't be like back to back. You can't do a 90-minute workout and call it a 2 45s. And then drink a gallon of water. Read 10 pages in a book. I'm going to be journaling and meditating anyway, because I do Miracle Morning Savers. Hal Elrod, someone else who had a tragedy in his youth, much like you. And then what else is in 75 hard? So and take a selfie.
Commit to a diet.
So commit to any diet without junk or alcohol.
Yep.
That's right.
So diet, exercise, which is all I really wanted, not this mental toughness BS. And then reading 10 minutes in a self-improvement book, and then a progress photo. Let's not forget our selfie, because I hear some people screw it up and forget their selfie.
Yeah, scantily clad selfie. Do it first
and
thing
I
in the
think
morning.
The worst part of it is, and if you screw up one piece of it, you start over. Yeah. Like that for me is like, I think that's excessive. I also think the outside thing is excessive because I'm just trying to. I was originally thinking I'll just do this to lose weight, but it's more about clearly this program is more about developing mental toughness. And I'll just talk to you like a real audience member, man. I'm not. I wasn't
A
that
real
interested. I'm
human
not that
being.
interested in it. I'm like I don't want to do this. You know.
Harris, I have a question for you. Like, I know we talked maybe a week or something ago. Like the topic of 75 hard came up. I don't even know like how it came up, but like you were like, I think I want to do 75 hard. Like that sounded to me like you were interested, but now you're saying you're not interested. So like, what's the story? What
Because
do
I
you mean
dug into what it was after I kind of like basically what happened is I committed. I said, yeah, I think I'll do it day after my birthday because uh, this is the dumbest reason because there's about 75 days till the end of the year. Little did I remember, oh, that means Christmas is fucked for me now.
It's not fucked. It's fine, dude.
Oh no. Okay. Anyway, and then I posted, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and I posted, and then I got two more people to say, yeah, I'll do it, other than Tellman.
Because I'm not a person.
Two other people, I said. Two other people. No, you're not. You're superhuman. You've already run 800 miles barefoot. Like I don't relate to that. The other two guys, actually, one of the guys has been through 75 hard more than you. So anyway, and so then I was like, oh, this is real, and and that started really shaking me up, and then I started, and then today. So yesterday I was fucked up. Honestly, I mean, it was
He was
really.
fucked up yesterday.
It
It was
was
a hard
like
day.
all this like there was stress in my body because I think the night before I tried to schedule like, okay, so I'm going to do 45 minutes here and I'm going to do it there, and then oh no, what if my daughter wants to go to the gym? She has to do it at this time. And I'm like, and then so I'm like trying to plan the whole 75 days almost, and then I'm like, okay, done. And then the next morning I'm like, why am I doing this? And I'm and today on my outdoor walk, which I'm not officially started on 75 hard yet, so I'm trying pieces of it but the way I work, like
I started warming. I did a Facebook about this morning. I did some of 75 hard yesterday, and I'm trying to do the whole thing today to warm up because it is hard to like get in your rhythm and squeeze all these things in. Yesterday I ran in the morning, and then I called my friend Justin, who I'm in a men's group with, and I know he goes to the gym, and he happened to be going to the gym at 4:30 yesterday. So I met him at the gym because I never go to the gym. And I drank a gallon of water yesterday. Now I didn't do everything else, but like those are kind of.
I would say I did everything except my second exercise wasn't outside, and I didn't take a profile pic. The only reason, so let me just tell you how my mind works. So 2 years ago, when I wanted to lose a bunch of weight, I had a personal trainer tell me you got to keep track of your food. I'm like, I don't want to keep track of my food. I've done this before. Kill me now. So of course I keep track of my food, but without worrying about how many calories it was going to be. Just keep track of your food. Eventually, you're going to do this, this, and this. As soon as the day that I started taking track of my food, I'm not eating. Now I'm eating the right amount of calories, like immediately, without it being a commitment. Right. So this is what happened to me 2 days ago when I'm like, okay, well, let me go. I guess I'm going to be doing this. I pretty much almost did a day of it. The only reason I didn't was because today's my birthday and I already committed to a dinner with my daughter tonight, and I wasn't going to change that. She's already crying about Christmas. So and the same with today. So today I'll still have that dinner with her.
Wait, hold on. Why is your daughter crying about Christmas?
She's like, well, okay, so because my not yet my soon-to-be ex-wife, her mother will be coming into London to go to have Christmas with us. So like a big part, I don't know if you're familiar with this, superhuman, but a big part of Christmas is the food and the treats. So now I'm clearly, if I'm, not going to be, I'm definitely not going to be eating treats. I told her I'll probably be able to go to the restaurant with you and I can have a salad or something, but she's like, okay. Cause at first she was like, so you're not going to be able to.
I mean, but hold on. Like, what diet are you on? Like, what are you, I understand, like, don't eat a bunch of sugar and like garbage food, but like I went through Thanksgiving and Christmas on the bulletproof diet, and I just made bulletproof versions of all this stuff, and it was awesome.
Wow, easy to have some fat.
Well, I'm asking you. Yeah.
I'm on a balanced, clean food diet. Basically, it's I don't know the exact macros, but it's like 120 grams of chicken or tuna. I was going to say más o menos. I lived in Spain for 8 years.
Ah, qué bueno.
120 grams of tuna, 200 of a brown carb, and if it's a vegetable, I think it's like 400, two different vegetables, like 200
Yeah, but
each.
like if you go out to a restaurant, like you can totally.
It's difficult sometimes. But and also restaurant food. They try to
Troy
they
wants
put
to
stuff.
say something really bad right now.
Go ahead, Troy.
A
Troy.
couple things. One is I think diets like that where you're tracking your macros and all this other thing. I think is all BS. I think there's a place for it sometimes, but if you just eat a healthy, balanced Mediterranean lifestyle, you're going to accomplish 90% of the things that you want without struggle. Because I want to enjoy my food, and you just eating a healthy version of like real food, that's super easy. It's good to track it if you don't have any understanding of what size means and all this other stuff for a little
Yeah.
while. But then by the time Christmas comes along, you just have a nice, normal, healthy meal.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have the pumpkin pie at the end if you want to be that strict, or maybe
Well,
just
to
a
be
little
fair
piece of
though,
it.
Troy, to be fair, 75 hard, one of the requirements
Specifically.
is to choose a diet that moves you in the direction of your health and fitness goals and stick to it religiously with no fuck ups.
Mediterranean
And he
diet.
specifically says no junk, and he says no alcohol.
I mean,
So
whatever the diet is, I
no, but
didn't.
what you've said is actually what I'll be doing, Croy. I'm not. I don't have to weigh my food anymore. I know that a chicken breast is about 120. I'm not like super. I'm not. I don't worry too. I'm not weighing it right now. I don't. Maybe I will some of the days if I'm not sure. But I want to have about 500 calories per meal, and I'll have 3 meals. I'm only 5'4", so I have less weight than other humans.
But you should
Um,
still be doing about 2,000 calories a day, 1,800 anyway.
well, it'll be. I want to lose weight, so it's a few hundred less than that, and then plus I'll also add on for the 245s. So the 245 minute, I'll add on another like mini meal, but it'll still be a mini balanced meal.
I would guess that even though you're slightly shorter, that you're still going to be around 1,800 to 2,000 calories because the exercise you're going to be putting in is going to be burning 500 or 600 calories. So you're going to be at
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
deficit
saying.
anyway.
With the exercise, I'll have a couple more meals. So the base is 15. Sorry, this is what my personal trainer taught me. So the base is 1,500, and then if you go to the gym for 45 minutes, you can have like a 300 calorie. He doesn't say it that way, but I'm just for the show. But basically, you can have a smaller meal, and it's usually around 300 calories to make up for the the energy that you just expended at the gym. So it'll be about 2,100 calories with the 245 minute
Well,
workout.
so here's the thing though. You already know you can stick to this diet. You have experience with it. You lost a whole bunch of weight with it.
I've probably never stuck to it for 75 days straight.
Well, it'll be a good practice, right? But the diet doesn't seem to be the thing that's fucking you up in terms of how you're feeling.
Nope. And you know what? I've also went stretches where I've worked out twice a day, and that's a little concerning to me because I do feel like it was over training for me at the time. I pushed up to that, but I can choose better exercises so that
you can rotate. You don't have to do the same exercises every day. But
yeah. So I know I can do that. I know I can do that. The outside thing, I don't like the outside thing. I don't like because I think it's purposefully adding on something just to be a challenge.
Totally.
So I get it. I get it. I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying like my life. I told you yesterday, my life's hard enough. Why am I like doing things that make it harder?
It was 33 degrees, misting. Like I did not want it dark. I did not want to go outside. And holy crap, dude! I went on a 5.5-mile run. It's called the Lightning Loop. It was actually named after my daughter. The whole story. I call it the Lightning Loop. And I'm up in the middle.
Croix is actually called the Marathon Man by other people. He doesn't just, I mean, granted, he might have come up with that himself at first, but then
no, actually, we didn't.
Okay.
And like I was out on the back roads at sunrise, and it was just freaking beautiful. It was like amazing. So getting outside and
When was this?
this morning.
Oh, 33 this morning. Wow.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
chilly
just
here
got
this morning.
cold in New England. Yeah. So
was
anyway,
chilly.
but Harris, let's get some advice from Croix here. Like you're having a hard time with the 75 hard thing. Like what do you need some advice?
I'm a bit I think I fixed the thing that I'm having difficulty with, which is basically I've tried to eat the entire elephant and now I'm just going to eat it one day at a time.
There's in terms of mental strength, there's the probably the most known way, which is like the David Goggins style. Like you run until you die and you don't stop until you're passed out, and and all this. And 75 hard is kind of it's a lot in that direction. And that's one style. I'm very different. I'm more of a Zen sort of a Zen sort of mental strength, where you want to embrace what you're doing so that it's not a struggle. There are moments that you need the David Goggins style, but generally speaking, it's a lot easier to accomplish really, really hard things if you just shift your mindset and embrace what you're doing. So when I was running across America, it wasn't running 3,000 miles. It
Right.
wasn't even running a marathon.
Right?
It wasn't even running a mile at a time. It was sometimes literally like I'm running to the next block because I'm so sore and I'm so tired and exhausted and bored, and I'm like, I'm done with this crap.
Yeah, dude.
And so sometimes I got to get to the next block. Then you get to that block and you get to the next block. And some days I was in so much pain that it was like, how do I take another step? And it literally was that small of an increment at times. And then other days when I was getting stronger after my body, because my body broke down really, really bad, and then it got stronger, and I got about halfway through the run. And by the time I'm halfway through the run, I'm running a marathon, not like it's easy, but it was like, okay, here we go. Let's just go get it done. It was just
6 hours? Like by the end you were doing 6-hour marathons?
My shortest one was 4:30. And the longest ones on some days, they were like 9 hours or something.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. But generally,
that's
after my
pace.
body got strong again, I was doing it in 5.5, 6 hours every day.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's like when you drive a car at night, you can't see 3 miles ahead of you. You can't even see probably 500 yards ahead of you. You might see 100 yards ahead of you. But the headlights, as you go forward, the headlights go forward with you. So you're always seeing enough to get to the next goal.
Right.
So you might have that big goal of, as an example, run across America, but I only need to know where I'm going right now for the next 100 yards, and then just keep going, and then you'll eventually get there.
I think the headlight advice is bad for me, because I would say I'm going to run into that headlight if I have to run another step. So the combination of the 75 hard or David Goggins and what you're teaching. So I'm doing it. I'm trying it. You decided one day I'm going to run 100 marathons in 100 days. So that's a David Goggins or a 75 hard decision.
Total insanity. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's like saying I'm going to run barefoot across the country. That's
Oh, it's similar level
right?
of idiocy.
So I'm and this is also something that I'm gaining from this process, because of course I'm reading War of Art right now, and it talks about I'm trying to think where it talks about. So I just got to the chapter where he talks about being a professional. Like, this is what you are if you're a professional versus an amateur. I am an amateur performer. I'm an amateur magician, performer, speaker, MC. I can admit it right now, because he talks about what it means if you are a professional. But one of the things that he talks about is, what do I do in the morning? And he says, he wakes up every day, and he basically says, look, I do a couple of my chores, but at 9 a.m. I get myself to the keyboard and I start effing typing, and I'm miserable. I wake up with fear and doubt, and but I know that I need to get to the keyboard and do it, and I'm miserable. And the fact that I'm miserable, he thinks, maybe we all think, that the fact that I'm miserable, that is the human condition, doing the thing that you must do, because he feels I must be a professional writer. In order to do that, there's a I don't get to see my whole hand. It's over here. I'm cut off. I don't need it. But anyway, he's basically saying, look, and the fact that I am miserable, I think that pleases the gods. He likes having, I don't know if you've read War of Art, but he likes talking in terms of like the muses or the gods are watching down on him to give him inspiration. Like, where did I get this? How did I? And then an hour, and he writes an hour of crap, and then an hour in, miserable. He's like, man, I really suck. And then an hour in, maybe something brilliant happened that he feels like came from, I'll say, the process, but he's like, it comes from the inspiration or whatever. So I'm definitely in tune with the idea of, and also, like, the way to get to bliss, this isn't in this book, this is my own BS, is to overcome really challenging things. Like any time that we're like in our best mood, I don't know, that we feel the best about ourselves is like as we're overcoming some challenging things, I think.
I don't have to read that book now because I totally disagree with it.
Okay.
I was going to run up South America from Tierra del Fuego in Argentina all the way up to Cartagena, Colombia, and I speak Spanish too. I live in Colombia. And I was going to run with this guy, and his whole mindset was like that book you were talking about. He's like, it's all about suffering. You got to suffer every day, and it's got to be torture, and that's all he talked about. And it turns out we didn't end up running because of logistics and security and things like that. We couldn't get the sponsorship we wanted. But I think I might have killed him by the time we were a week or two into it, listening to it, that you have to suffer, because you don't have to suffer. Yeah, you got to push through the resistance. That's the idea of sitting down at 9 a.m., typing shit until you eventually start typing really good stuff. Because sometimes you just, genius isn't going to come out of your fingers or your mouth the second you sit down. Right. So you have to go through that resistance and get into the zone. And once you're in the zone, you lose track of time. You're writing really great stuff. And this is where the genius comes out. But it's just a matter of pushing through the resistance, not torturing. Now, running across America, there were times I was torturing myself to accomplish that really freaking big goal. And that was part of it. There are moments in life that's appropriate, that's what you need to do. But generally speaking, to accomplish major, amazing things is not torture. Like Dan Coe, we were talking about before, he talks about it as length in his YouTube videos, is like, this was a long journey, but nothing was terribly hard. And I'm only working 4 or 5 hours a day. And he's making $2 million a year, netting 90%. I mean, that was no torture in there. There was no.
So here's the thing. This is so interesting.
There probably was, because but not purposeful torture. Not like, I'm sure there's challenges he had to overcome, but there wasn't like, I'm going to only run outside in the 33-degree weather to make it harder on myself.
Hold the phone here, because let's talk about torture for a second. I think here's the problem, is that when you were talking about earlier about being present, you had just like 1 footfall at a time, just being there with it, Croix. It's like people try so hard to avoid discomfort or to do something that they don't feel like doing. Okay?
Agreed.
That's not torture. All right? It's doing something you don't feel like doing. We all have to do shit we don't feel like doing. Like, I'm a single dad. I have to do a lot more dishes than I used to. Damn it. It really sucks, but whatever. I have to do a lot of dishes. It's not torture. As a matter of fact, it's really good self-discipline, so I can try to keep a tidier kitchen, I think that part of the problem is that the experience of learning involves discomfort, confusion, awkwardness, self-doubt. And you could call that torture, but learning how to just be cool with it being uncomfortable, be cool, and experience it. Learn from it, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, right? Like when you were talking about the process of writing just a moment ago, that's my exact process with running. It takes me 45 minutes to warm up enough to relax and let go enough to have any kind of insight come through. And I get almost all of my best ideas while either running or taking a hot shower. Those are my two peak performance times where I can clear my mind enough to see something new. And so
I get mine when I journal. I get a lot when I journal, actually.
Journaling's also a great tool for this. But,
so I've been journaling in the tub now.
Oh, you got some of that waterproof paper. That's good. Journaling in the tub on your phone.
Yeah, I journal into ChatGPT.
That's right.
Hey, Tellman, do you listen to anything while you're running? Because I don't listen to anything ever.
No, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to listen to heavy metal a lot while I ran in high school and stuff. But I don't even bring my phone with me anymore.
My ex runs marathons or half marathons, and she couldn't do it without. She's literally like didn't start once because her phone, her earbuds weren't working or something. Not a race, but like a training. She was like,
I like being present with the running is the only time I'm actually genuinely present in my physical environment. The rest of the time I'm lost in complete cognitive land all the time. And so I like no earbuds and just being
where I live with my phone service, apparently I don't get internet on the long walk. I really went, well, it's more of a walk today, but okay. I guess I won't be. I guess I'll try that. And it was nice. It was. It's nice to just be with yourself and whatever, the bird or the water or the cars driving by. So
when I ran across America, and now even today when I'm still running, Run Across America was 12 years ago. I've never listened to anything, almost ever. 98% of the time, I'm not listening to it. On occasion, I do. But the reason for that is, one, I want to know what's going on around me. Cars and people and things like that. And I want to hear what's going around me. I want to see the birds and the occasional animal that I'll cross and stuff like that. I enjoy that. But I also don't listen to anything because I want to purge the toxic garbage that's going on in my head.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have running, I don't think I'd be nearly the person I am today, because it keeps me sane. It literally keeps me sane. And especially when you're going through garbage in life, and the running is the best thing. I used to ride a motorcycle for that reason, to clear my head, except that was stupid and dangerous because I'm riding at 100 miles an hour on a Harley, and one day I was going to kill myself.
Right.
And
so tell me, were you inspired by Croix? Did you know about Croix when you decided to try to run across? No. Wow.
No.
Wow. So you guys,
we haven't known each other that long in the greater scheme of things.
So you met after, and then you're like, what? I did too.
You're a crazy runner, and you're Norwegian, and you're a hypnotist, and you're in direct response marketing. Well, what the heck?
Right.
Yeah.
When did you run?
But you guys differ, I think, quite a bit on your approach to mental toughness and mindset.
I think that Croix and I think about things we have a lot in common, but our brains are very different, even though we're both internet entrepreneurs. I think our process is very different.
In
2009.
Okay. And I ran Across America in 2011. So you beat me to it.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
But I don't listen to things too, because I want to purge all the toxic thoughts. And then when that happens, and that might take a couple miles, it might take 20, depending on the day, depending on what's going on in life. And there were times when I was going through stuff, I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep. I'd go out for a run, and I'd run until I've got rid of whatever that toxic garbage was going on, mind trash was going on. Then I'd come back and I'd be able to fall back to sleep again.
So you're kind of getting the benefit of meditation from running.
Totally.
In a way, it's in a way, it's a little different, but yeah. But then after that is what Tellman was talking about, is that then the creative stuff comes, then the positive stuff comes, and then you open up new channels that you can. And if you're listening to music, like a lot of people do when they're running marathons, you're totally distracting yourself from the whole process, and you're missing 90% of the benefit. You're getting the physical benefits, sure, but you're missing everything else in it.
You're missing all the insight.
I listen to podcasts a lot when I do cardio, but then they actually give me ideas, and I'm gone and pause the cardio and start thinking. But what do you mean by getting rid of toxic thoughts?
Dude, so check it out. When you're running, isn't the only way to get there, right? We just both happen to be runners, but when you're struggling with something, either a big problem in your life, relationship issue, money issue, health issue, or as a marketer and entrepreneur, if you're trying to solve a problem, you're like, fuck, things are screwed. I need to find a way to fix. What ends up happening is, for me anyway, usually between at about minute 45 or so into a run, I'm finally warmed up enough and relaxed enough that the ideas just start hitting like lightning bolts. And the solutions to my problems that I've been working on for the last 6 months just start bubbling. And sometimes I get 30 amazing solutions in one run. I have to write them all down.
How long are your 75 hard runs?
Well, Usually 5 to 7 miles. Because
How long is that?
Oh, well, at least 45 minutes.
Oh, but you just said that you start getting ideas after 45 minutes. So
Yeah,
I
but
was
that has
just thinking,
nothing to do with 75 hard.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The point is that generally speaking, with running, like all the challenges come up once you've given yourself some time alone to just like process all the bullshit without anybody yapping at you, without anybody distracting you, without any, like minimal input, right? You always have to deal with your environment and the cars and all the other bullshit, but like minimal, like logical or no auditory input. It's just like getting it's like doing the laundry, like clearing out,
Yeah.
just cleaning it up.
Doing the dishes.
Very similar to doing the dishes in your head.
Where our minds are not too much unlike the old PCs where you had to defragment them. You remember that? I don't know if you still do it.
Clean my Mac, baby.
Yeah, I use Apple, so I don't know what the PCs are like today.
Clean my Mac.
Yeah, clean my Mac. You might need it.
sounds like if you don't know about it, you might need it.
Defrag that.
But
it doesn't say defrag; it says just cleaning or something.
The mine's the same way. It's like a taking a shower every day or every couple of days anyway. Not everybody takes a shower every day, but you have to take a shower regularly, otherwise you stink. You have to clean out your mind regularly, otherwise your mind stinks. Your mental thoughts stink. And if you don't get rid of that toxicity that we accumulate, that like rust that comes in, that oxidation of our thoughts, if you don't get rid of that and clean that out, it's going to get old and dirty and nasty, and eventually you're never going to be able to see clearly anymore. So you have to be able to clear that out. And if you don't do that, then you're, which a lot of people do, they don't ever clear that out. And that's why people go in a downward trajectory in life instead of life getting better into your 50s, 60s, 70s. Like I know some people that their lives are every decade gets better and better no matter how old they got. Where most people, their life levels off, if not declines, once they pass the 50 mark, because they've stopped.
Mine was starting to. Mine was really starting.
Stop defragmenting their brain or clean their Mac. Yeah. They stopped. You have to do that. And you always have to have a compelling future or some reason, a purpose going forward. There was a guy I run in the morning and I bump into a neighbor. He's 82 years old. And he doesn't run, he walks. And I see him walking. He walks 5 miles every day. And he's like, I've got to get my 5 miles every day or a little bit more. And he's trying to get it a little bit more. And he gives me all these reasons why, health reasons, but there's also the psychological reasons. Like, I need this to feel better. Yeah. And he's 82 years old and he looks amazing. And this is a guy who lost his son at how old was his son? 49. His son died. So he's dealing with that. And, so the exercise, that's all part of it. And like Tellman said, it doesn't have to be running. It doesn't even have to necessarily be physical, but you have to have some way to clear out your mind.
It's good if it is.
Physical
like running, walking, cycling. Another one that works really well is like a good rowing machine because you can close your eyes.
I love that row machine.
Go into it.
I love swimming the most. Actually, I get the best mental benefits out of swimming.
I've never been able to get into swimming as a form of exercise. Like I grew up, like I had a cottage on the lake. I knew how to swim from when I was young. I enjoy swimming, but I've never swam for exercise or competition, and so I never like mastered it. I guess or something. I never found it. Yeah,
I'm a better swimmer than I am runner.
Oh.
But I think that I grew up as like you. I grew up as a child in the water, and literally, and but I think I get the most mental benefit out of swimming because as you're stroking and there's splashing and then your head's under the water, so for a moment you don't hear anything, then you breathe, then you hear it, and then you don't. It's this rhythmic sound that is kind of like listening to a metronome.
Yeah, it's kind of like white noise, right? A little bit.
It's amazing, and unfortunately, I don't get the time to swim as much as I used to.
Have you ever done a race that's like a swim, bike, run?
Yeah, I've done a few Ironman races.
Ironman. Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Well, so Croix, what?
Hey, I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom, and we are at our hour.
I have to go to the bathroom too, so we're gonna do bathroom tag team. But before we do, Harris, go for it. Before this is so funny. Yeah, it's getting classic. Croix, what website do you want to promote? Like, what would you like to tell people about right now? What do you want?
Well, we've been talking about morning routines. So the best place would be to go to unstoppablemorning.com. Like we were talking about 75 hard, I have a much more reasonable version of that, which is starting your morning with direction and purpose so that if you win the morning, you win the day. And this is just a few minutes of exercise, a few minutes of journaling, and a few minutes of mindset. And so unstoppablemorning.com, and you go through that. And I guarantee you within just a day or two or three, you'll start seeing your life change. It may not be as extreme as the 75 hard, and it's intentionally not as extreme because not everybody's like, everybody's not like you and me that want to do these super wild things. So the minimal effective dose is the way I've designed this.
Yeah. So what's the formula for the unstoppable morning? Like what's the basic frame?
20 minutes of exercise.
Unstoppable what?
Unstoppablemorning.com, Harris.
Unstoppable Morning. Oh, cool. I remember there was a book called, I think it was just Unstoppable that I read like 20 or 30 years ago, and it had a bunch of like mini stories. Do you know what it's written by a woman? I think it was just called Unstoppable or something like that. Or maybe she just talked about unstoppable stories.
I was gifted a book that's called Unstoppable by Kershey.
Yeah, that's it. It's a woman. It's a female author.
Yeah.
It's really great.
I haven't read it yet.
It's got a bunch of short stories. I actually, like, when I was wanting to be a filmmaker, I was like, oh, these would make great stories. I'm going to reach out to her. I did, like, but I didn't have any money. So I couldn't just buy the rights for $1, like I read about in some book. But, so what is, you probably already said, but what's Unstoppable? Sorry, my phone's in the way. Unstoppable Morning.
46 minutes. It's a way to start your morning with direction and purpose so that if you win the morning, you win the day. You win enough mornings, then you'll win enough days, then you end up winning the weeks and the months and the years in life, and you go from where you are to where you want to be. So it's really a life transformation program to go from where you are, and it's designed specifically to help you figure out what you want, to get the clarity, and then to start taking the actions that you need and doing it in a way that is natural and organic so that you're not struggling with yourself. You're not forcing yourself to do something. You're rewiring your mind. It's kind of like a life transformation coaching program in a morning routine so that you can create the life that you want to create. So it's the process is 20 minutes of exercise, whatever you want to do, at least 20 minutes. And that's all. 20 minutes is the minimum effective dose for exercise. If we do at least 20 minutes a day, get your cardio up, do some muscle training, whatever it is, you're going to get massive benefits. Of course, you can have more and you can do better, but this is the minimum.
Yeah, my personal trainer told me that too, but especially at first when I was really only doing 20 minutes, but I was like, gosh, but the next 10 minutes is like way better than those first 20, right? Like, because now your body's going. But anyway, so 20 is the minimum you need.
I tend to do 30 to 40 a day, generally speaking. That's my average if I'm not training for something specific.
Yeah. Same.
If I'm short on time, then I'll only do 20, but I like 30 to 40. That's my personal. So actually 45 minutes, since we're talking about this, is the optimal dose of exercise you can have a day. So between 20 and 45 minutes is how much exercise we should all be doing in some version, whatever you like to do. And then there's 15 minutes, and this is where you're going to purge your thoughts. So the first 5 minutes is writing down in your journal, and I have an accompanying journal that you can get download for free. You write down for 5 minutes is just your toxic thoughts. So like we were talking about with running, here's the written version of doing that. And whatever you're struggling with, whatever problems you have, you just write it down. And the idea of that is that you're letting it go out of your mind. So you don't think about this anymore. Then the next 5 minutes is like, well, checking in with yourself. How am I doing? And that's where you just 5 minutes of writing is like, well, what's going well? What's not going well? And what can I keep doing more of that's working so that life gets better? And then the last 5 minutes is to prepare, is to plan. So you see, like, what am I going to get done today that at the end of the day, I'm going to be, wow, this was a good day because I did this.
Yeah.
And that may only be one thing. It could be a bunch of things, but
exercise and journaling about these specific things.
And then 15 minutes of mindfulness is a simple way of putting it. It's not really meditation, but it's a specific way I walk you through of doing 15 minutes of quiet time in a specific way. So some people might call it meditation, but I just call it mindfulness because it's not a specific, like Eastern kind of tradition. It's it's a form of hypnosis in a way, self-hypnosis.
Right.
And you're going through this process to get clarity. Part of this is, what do you want in life? So this isn't just like, I want to have $1 million. This is like, what's it going to feel like when you have $1 million life? Well, I start my morning off. I go and I exercise and I do these things, but then I go and get in my SL 550 Mercedes,
Right.
and I open up the door and I sit down and I put my hand on the subtle leather and I push the button to start the car and it roars to life. And then I pull out of my driveway. So you not only see it, but you feel it. When you can visualize it and you can feel it, your mind can't tell the difference between what you're imagining and what is real in life. And then what happens is that your mind at first is like, oh, bullshit. I'll never own $100,000 Mercedes. This isn't true. I can never become a millionaire. I can never run my own business. I could never be healthy and fit. We'll get this. Your mind will say bullshit, 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 until eventually you do this long enough. And it doesn't take all that long, but you do this enough. Then your mind starts like, well, maybe I can do it. Then it's like, well, I think I can. Like, what? I definitely can. Absolutely. I'm going to accomplish it. And then eventually you're living it. So it's a progression that you self-hypnotize the success that you want. And it's just a simple thing you do in 45 minutes a day.
Cool.
Right on. Yeah. I would say all of those things. I did Hal Elrod's Savers, which is meditate, affirmation, visualization, exercise, read, and journal, scribe. And those are the things that you just mentioned were the things that I took away the most from. Like I don't feel like I got the most out of maybe for me. Well, you do sound like you do have some visualization. You kind of mix visualization and affirmation into the mindfulness aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, so like I find that all those things have really helped me, turn my life around in the last couple of years. And then, I got, kicked in the balls a little bit. So I'm having to, scramble and restructure and kind of get back to it. But this sounds really, really spot on. And then, I was going to say one thing that I have trouble with because I don't know if you've ever heard the word aphantasia.
Hmm.
Aphantasia is that you can't visualize in your mind's eye.
Yeah,
So
nor can I. Yeah, like we talked about this once, Harris. It's
so
like you close
so
your eyes
on
and it's
so when
black.
I'm on stage, I make a joke about it. I say, "Oh yeah, I have aphantasia," and no one knows what that is. I said, "When I close my eyes, I can't see," and they laugh. I'm like, "No, no, no, inside my mind's eye." So it might be good for you to know that, like, because it's really about the feeling. We didn't know that though. Like until we found out that other people actually can see in their mind's eye, we thought that when you say, "Well, visualize something," we don't see it, but we know what
We
it
can
is.
imagine what it would look like if we could see it.
Right. Right. I don't know what it is, like what we're doing. Like, I don't know if we're saying words in our head or whatever, but like if I close my eyes and say, "Oh, imagine a computer," I happen to be imagining an Apple, an old Apple iMac because I think we've been talking about apples, but but I don't see it. So it ultimately becomes about, for me, especially, I'm like, okay, I need to feel these visualizations rather, which is ultimately what we're trying to get to.
When you think of an elephant, do you think of the letters or do you think of the big gray animal?
No, I think of it's really weird. It's like your computer. If the computer's not on, but it's if the monitor's not on, but that there's that you put a picture up in. I don't know how to explain it, but no, we
No,
don't.
no,
I don't see the word. I don't see the word elephant. I
I
think of an elephant when you said elephant.
I dealt with this I have the same situation, but I dealt with it regularly with when I would work locally with hypnosis clients one on one, and they'd be like, I can't visualize, and I learned this from Tony Robbins. I think in his first book, which was called, come on, help me, Croix.
Awaken the Giant?
No, that was his second book.
Personal Power?
Yeah. Personal Power. I think I learned this from Tony Robbins, which is, well, all right, close your eyes and imagine an apple. I can't imagine an apple. I can't see it. Okay. Close your eyes and imagine an apple. I don't care if you can see it. I'd like you to imagine that you could see it. If you can imagine that you could see it, would it be a red apple or would it be a green apple?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, it'd be a red apple or what? And you're like, great. Now, if you can imagine that you could touch it, I don't care if you can feel it, but just imagine that you could touch it. Would it be cold, room temperature, or warm? Right? And they're like, well, cold. Just came out of the fridge. Great. Now, if you can imagine, you don't have to taste it, but just imagine that you were to take a bite out of the apple And as your teeth sink into the apple, would it be crisp or mealy? Right? Oh, crisp. And are the juices tart or sweet? Yeah, and is there a stem on top or no stem? Is there a leaf on the stem or no leaf? And all of a sudden they have absolute detail on the thing that they can't see. It's really interesting though. Now, a lot of people can't actively visualize.
That's interesting. So give me an example of the Mercedes. I don't even have to close my eyes, and I can imagine my hands touching the Mercedes and feeling the leather and pushing the start button. And if I close my eyes and I'm quiet, like I like to do this in the hot tub. That's one of my favorite places to do this kind of stuff. And I just put my head back and I see it as if it's a live movie. So
right.
when you guys have dreams, like the other night I watched Scream, the newest movie Scream, which I never watch horror movies, but I saw the preview for it and I was like, oh, that sounds like it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I like, it wasn't scary. It was actually a really dumb movie. Yeah. Really hokey, sort of ridiculous movie. But that night I went to sleep. I ended up having dreams of people being stabbed.
Yeah.
And I woke up from it. I don't remember who was stabbing who. I don't know if I was part of it or if I was just seeing it. I don't remember that part, but it startled me awake. And so even my dreams at times can be super realistic and scare me. Literally. So your dreams you can visualize in your dreams, but you can't visualize when you're trying to.
And I actually have been able to get to a relaxing enough state where I can visualize a little bit. Like I can get down enough where I'm like, ooh, let me try. And maybe I'll be able to make an outline of the apple or something like that. Like I can get I feel like if I'm close enough to a dream state, when I'm meditating or conscious.
Yeah.
You too?
No, well, so for me it's a little different, but very similar. Like my ex-wife Jody is like ultra visual, and so she has the movies playing in her head all the time with her eyes open or closed, like in absolute detail. You know what I mean? And I've never had that, and so for me.
Is that what? Maybe all women do that. That's why they.
No, it's not a male-female thing.
I'm just kidding.
I thought that was actually I thought it was a more male thing to be visual like that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gender, but maybe. I mean, we'd have to look it up. But like when I was a kid, I was asleep. Like I had all sorts of messed up things going on when I was a kid, and I was a sleepwalker, and I also had night terrors. And if you don't know what night terrors are. I mean, this is one of the reasons I ended up getting into hypnosis is night terrors are when you have like the worst nightmare you've had in your entire life, the most terrifying, blood curdling, fear inducing nightmare that you can remember from your childhood. Like imagine waking up from that with your heart beating, you're sweating, you're like scared out of your mind. You open your eyes, but the dream doesn't stop. And it's like a full overlay. It's more real than the physical world around you. And so you're just like losing your, like people tend to grow out of these as they get older, but you're like losing your crap completely. Like you're in the middle of the nightmare, but your body is fully mobile and running around the room. Okay. It's like terrifying for everyone. Wow. So I had a bunch of that stuff going on when I was a kid.
So you can visualize when you're dreaming.
What?
You do visualize when you're dreaming or no?
Yeah, I remember dreams and I remember the visual aspects of the dreams, right? Yeah. But it takes so much for me to like. It's very rare that I can even as a 23. I've been a hypnotist for 24 years. Like to let go enough to let the subconscious stuff come through on the visualization side. I have a really hard time with it, but I can get the physical sensations, and sometimes I get like auditory stuff. But visual is definitely very, very hard for me.
With your background and growing up with the night terrors too, you may have a subconscious block to that. Because
that's why I'm mentioning it. Exactly. Yeah. Is like everybody's different, and like we all came to be in different ways, right? So who knows what's
when Mike, which was it, my son or was it my daughter? I forget, but one of them was really small. It was like maybe 4 years old or 5 years old, and they were having probably what I would consider night terrors. I mean, for a little while about the house burning down and getting on fire. And so I don't know what movie they saw or something like that. I think it was my son. And so after several days of this and waking up and screaming in the middle of the night, and we were going through hell for a few days there, I was like, you know what? I'm a hypnotist. I know how to do this stuff. It's like,
Right.
I'm going to try this. And I had never done it with a child before. And so I was a little bit nervous, but I did what we always do. And so I did the version of like, well, after he woke up from the night terror, and I was like, well, imagine that fire, what you just saw. Now imagine it being above your head, like you're looking at it separately. And then that's going farther and farther away. You know, this is a super short version. And then eventually it just disappears. He never had another bad dream after that again.
Yeah, dude.
It worked in one session.
My
I was
daughter,
like, this is cool.
My daughter,
Great.
many years ago, developed a very weird, well, I guess it's not very weird, a very unexpected phobia of ants. And it wasn't because she got bit by a bunch of ants or something. Like, I don't know where it came from, but like she got freaked about ants and she just couldn't handle them. You know, just lost her crap anytime there was an ant like walking across the floor or whatever. And
my daughter, it's birds, especially pigeons, if they fly around her. But I know where she developed it.
Okay, well, whatever the reason is, I hypnotized her and had her come up with a solution, and she ended up creating a visualization of these ants in tuxedos with top hats and canes dancing across the stage, doing this funny like ant dance, and like it made it hilarious, and then never again was it a problem. So yeah, like hypnosis rocks. It's awesome. You can do so much with it.
Yeah, that is
so
really
some
cool.
people are like, I can't be hypnotized. I'm sure some people are listening to this and like,
Yeah.
Or
Everybody thinks they can't be hypnotized.
Or it's bullshit, or it's this, or it's that. But hypnosis really is just influence.
Yeah.
Whether someone else is influencing you or you're doing it through self-hypnosis, self-influence. And that's all it really is. And that happens throughout all of our lives. So we're constantly being hypnotized through all our lives, from the moment we're born until our last breath. And that happens through media, like the news. The news is always telling you this negative crap all the time. And right now, as you know, in our country, in the US, we're in the most toxic we have ever been because of the crap that we're seeing on TV, which then filters into social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so now, like, you'll see even people that post, like, I have got a good friend, an author. He's absolutely a brilliant, amazing man. And he's been posting all this political crap on things. So I finally wrote him yesterday. It's like, you're better than this. You know better than this, and you're smarter than this, and you're inspirational, and you're a genius in what you do, because he absolutely is. He's one of the very best in the world. And it's like, you need to be sharing that with people, not this political crap, because nobody cares and nobody's going to remember the political crap, but they'll remember your genius.
Right. But
they won't remember it if you're only sharing this political bullshit. And it doesn't matter if you're on the right or left, the middle, it doesn't matter. It's all crap. It's all theater. But that's a type of hypnosis. Your mom or dad growing up is hypnosis, whether they said you can't do it or whether they said you can. That's all hypnosis. Whether if you have a good relationship with money or a bad relationship with money, that comes from your parents, generally speaking, and other experiences.
I wrote a book called All Hypnosis is Self-Hypnosis.
It's true.
Like, it is true that like you can't be hypnotized if you choose not to follow the instructions. But like when you work with a hypnotist, whether it's one-on-one or recording, really you're making the decision of what you do or don't like listen to, pay attention to, choose to follow, and let into your head. And if you're like, oh, I'm going to listen to this and follow the directions and see if I can relax and de-stress, then you're choosing to learn how to relax and de-stress. So like, even if a hypnotist is guiding you through it, you're learning how to do it yourself. Like, that's the whole thing, is the hypnotist can't make you do it, but the hypnotist can guide you through the process so you can learn how to do it. Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. It's been almost 80 minutes.
Yeah, we're going.
Almost an hour. But I just want to kind of circle back to Unstoppable. My blogging again morning. Do you have a community, or is it basically what is it? What's available? A book?
Yeah, there's two things that you can get for free right off the start. Is unstoppablemorning.com. You'll get the morning routine.
Okay.
And from that, you can also get the journal. So if you want to use my method of journaling to do this as well. And they're both for free. They're both digital downloads.
Yeah, I really like how you wrapped it all together. Yeah. Yeah,
well, I started with the one, and then because I created a journal that used to be called Dream Big Life Journal. And that was number one on Kickstarter for that month. It was the number one selling in all of Kickstarter for, gosh, I forget what month it was, but back 7 years ago or something. And then I brought that back. So when I started Unstoppable Morning, then I was like, well, I got this journal. Why am I not sharing this? One of my friends is like, you got to share this with people. So I readapted it to match this. So now I have them both together. And getting that in print is going to be next. I'll probably be working on that this week, actually, and getting it. So if you want to just buy a print version and not print it out at home, you can do that. Which will just be on Amazon. So I won't even make any money on that. It's just for a convenience. But then there's a community. So if you want to join the community, you can do that as well.
Cool. What are you using for your community?
I'm doing it on my own. I use Kartra. I was on School. I found it to be overhyped. Didn't really like it.
Okay.
And there was nothing out there that I really, really liked in terms of community that Kartra doesn't do.
Cool.
Which Kartra, as you know, probably is like ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
Except they have a membership component to it, which is fairly good. Except the only thing it doesn't have is the social aspect. But I do live calls like we're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, dude. Quite a few years ago, I was working on an idea for like a comic book or something, and I bought the unstoppables.com to create a superhero team. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just want to let you know that I own it.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thinking in the same direction. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a team up in the future. We'll have to find out. Absolutely. Cool, dude. Unstoppable Morning. I will check it out. I haven't gone through your process, so I'm very interested in seeing what that's all about. And Croix, I would love to reconnect soon and find a way to work together. And I'm really interested in seeing the next chapter in your life and your business as you keep moving it forward. And I'm in Connecticut for a little while longer, so I'll have to come up and visit you. Yeah, dude. Well, I'm running every day for 75 days, so come on up.
And it was really nice meeting you. I'm definitely going to grab Unstoppable Morning myself. And I don't have a printer in the new place yet, but I can read it online. And then also, I can just get a piece of paper. Yeah, you can just do it on paper. Yeah. Sweet. Very cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. It was really great meeting you. Happy birthday, Harris. Thanks. This is a great birthday present, Croix. You didn't know you were my birthday present, but it was very helpful for me. And one more thing that's sort of serendipitous about this is that this is the 40th episode you guys are doing. When I ran across America, I was 40 years old. Oh, boom. Synchronicity. That is cosmic alignment if I've ever heard of it. 100%. Complete cosmic alignment. Yeah, because Harris is actually turning 40 today. 40, yes. This is the 16th time I'm turning 40. That's right. That's right. So good. So good. Thank you, everyone, for being loyal fans to the Tellman and Fellman Show. This has been episode 40 with Croix Sather. Sather? You got it. You got it. Unstoppablemorning.com. See you tomorrow morning for our next episode. Over now. Bye, guys. Thanks, Croix. Thanks, Harris.